We need to get ahead of this fire today and tomorrow.
It's a new day in the battle against a stubborn wildfire west of Denver. Firefighters are preparing for the return of high temperatures and gustier wind in just 2 days. 7 News is tracking the breaking news for you on the North Folk fire, and authorities are telling us this morning that their top priority is to get people back into their homes. The perimeter of this fire is now 8.5 miles long. Here's a satellite view from Digital Globe. Just to give you an idea of the size, the area there in gray is the area already burned. That red area is untouched forest. Now, 7 News reporter Eric Lupher is at the command post for us this morning. Eric, the governor just arrived to get a first look himself.
Yeah, in fact, he has taken to the skies. He plans to survey the damage in the fire zone from above in a helicopter. And he was anxious to get here. He just arrived to Colorado last night from Mexico. He was talking economic development there. Very anxious to get here. First thing this morning, he showed up to the command post, and now he's taken to the skies. Take a look at this video. 7 News was there as the governor arrived at the command post here in Conifer. This just before 10 this morning. The governor had a briefing here first before heading to the helipad nearby to take to the air. We talked with him last night as he arrived at DIA from his trip to Mexico. We talked about how this fire started as a prescribed burn. The governor says no need to jump to conclusions just yet. Listen.
Carefully by the experts, right? Let's get the science.
And you heard it there. He wants the experts to take a close look at this, look at the science and all of that before anybody jumps to conclusions, like I had mentioned. As for the weather this morning, there's a slight breeze, which is never good when it comes to a fire. But the good thing here, as we take a look at the horizon here at the mountains, no major smoke plumes, so that is good to know. But again, we're told the fire is still burning within those parameters. And this, only 15% contained. Coming up a little bit later, we're going to hear from some folks at the evacuation site what they want to hear from the governor once he lands and speaks to evacuees. We're live in Conifer. Eric Lupher, 7 News.
All right, we know you'll keep us informed. Thank you, Eric. Some residents say sorry isn't enough as the State Forest Service apologizes for that controlled burn that led to this massive fire.
I don't know if we have the adequate words to express our sympathy for the families.
The controlled burn reignited on Monday. It was quickly pushed by the winds to its current size, around 4,100 acres. Now we're asking how often the Forest Service checks the weather ahead of time before burning. The Forest Service telling us in an email, quote, weather forecasts are looked at weeks, even months in advance to find just the right time to do a burn, end quote. But some residents aren't buying it.
I'm not an expert, but I can look and say, look, this was 4 or 5 weeks after snow. We have wind coming 4 or 5 days later. But up here, it's easily be 50 miles an hour. Why do we need to prescribe burn?
The Forest Service is going to have an independent panel now investigate its prescribed burn that led to the fire. Also today, the continuing search for a woman who was last seen on Monday when the fire exploded. 34 people and 4 dogs have been searching the 60 acres around her home. They've done it 3 times, and that search is being expanded today. Linda and Sam Lucas both died in the fire. We now know that deputies were not able to reach them because of the intense flames and smoke that were blocking the way to and from their home. 7 News reporter Lance Hernandez just talked with the couple's pastor, and Lance, he knew this couple very well.
He knew them very well, Bertha. The pastor at Red Rocks Fellowship described Sam and Linda Manita Lucas as very selfless people committed to their faith. Now, Sam was a retired engineer. He used to work for Western Electric. Manita, we were told, never met a person who wasn't a friend. The couple built their dream home in Pleasant Park in the mid-1990s. They were members of Red Rocks Fellowship in Littleton. Pastor Jack McCullough says the Lucases were very involved with their church. He says during the fire, the couple called and asked church members to please pray for the situation.
That was the last we heard, and then we understand he spoke to his neighbor who's also a parishioner here, and then that was all we heard. And we called family members. I did actually personally later that evening and said, hey, are they staying with you tonight? And they said, we haven't heard anything. And then there was no news in the morning, left numerous messages, and then we learned the sad news from the Jefferson County Sheriff's people at around noon.
Now, Mr. McCullough says the Lucases were prepared for fire. He says they built their house with fire protection equipment, which included concrete shingles, a fire suppression system with foam, a generator, a couple of tanks with water. He said they also kept the brush cleared from around the house. He called the loss tragic. We are told that a memorial service for the Lucases will be held at 1 p.m. tomorrow at Southern Gables Church, 4001 South Wadsworth. Live in Jefferson County, Lance Hernandez, 7 News.
What a terrible loss. Thank you for that story, Lance.